Hey, Dr. Jared Pelo. I want to talk a little bit about the concept of tiny habits, which, I've kind of talked about. There's these two different books that I really like: Atomic Habits, Tiny Habits. I'd say Atomic Habits is a little bit more broad-based. Tiny Habits is a little more specific. But what I really like that Tiny Habits covers, and Atomic Habits might cover it a little bit, is this idea of rewiring your brain. And Tiny Habits, BJ Fogg talks about this, and you do it through celebrating. And so a tiny habit is a foundational or anchor habit that is so small that you almost can't not do it. So, for example, it might be you do one push up before you go to bed, or one push up after you eat breakfast. And it's almost impossible to not do one push up if you put that on your list and you do some other tactics like habit stack or whatever. But then the magic touch that BJ Fogg talks about is celebration. So after doing your tiny habit, you celebrate and you make it something emotional, something that you like. So myself personally, I kind of tap myself on the chest. The reason I do this is I've trained myself over the years that tapping myself on my chest gives me a state change. And Tony Robbins talks about state changes where you actually change your emotional state and then what you're experiencing changes. And so I've been a little bit of a nerd since I was a kid and went to a Tony Robbins seminar when I was like 16 years old, 10 years ago, right? But went to a Tony Robbins seminar when I was young, and he talked about, building some sort of mechanism to put yourself in a certain state. And so ever since then, when I worked terrible jobs, knocking doors, door to door, selling pest control in college, I would tap myself on the chest to get myself in the right state of mind to pump myself up. So I do that now for celebrating. Anytime I do something that I'm excited about, I kind of celebrate, tap myself on the chest, and I get this immediate kind of emotional, happy change. Now, I've done it for years. But that is one cool trick that BJ Fogg talks about with tiny habits is you do this anchor habit. You do some sort of celebration. Now, it might not be a tap on your chest. It might be a fist pump. It might be a little happy dance or whatever, but you trigger that emotion with that tiny habit and you start rewiring yourself. And remember that these habits, these things that we want to change in our lives, they take time, and doing them slowly is absolutely the best way. Most people can't quit smoking cold turkey. Most people can't start eating healthy all the time. And so these are little things. Most people can't just start exercising an hour a day. And so these are little things that we work on, and it might only be 10 seconds of something, but it's still worth celebrating because you're still sending that message to yourself that you can change. And you are changing. And so I think tiny habits, the celebration from a tiny habit and getting that emotional reward right away is a super cool trick and tactic to use as you continue to change along your journey.